We're recording. And we are live. Welcome back. Episode 43 of the RINO podcast. Happy New Year, Caitlin.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Second cup of coffee. We just recorded another great Patreon episode. We are the normals. Patreon.com/RhinoPod, Patreon.com/RhinoPod. Jonah Goldberg has stolen our catchphrase, and we will kick him out of the normal tent because of his Glenn Youngkin error this week, of which he profusely apologized, but still nonetheless has not learned the lesson that you just, before you tweet it, before you punch right, at least have your argument ready.
Yeah.
How are you? How you feeling?
I'm doing really good.
Good. You had it looks like over the break, a fabulous trip out west. Did some skiing.
I went to Colorado and I went skiing, and then I came home and I have COVID. I have Omicron.
Omicron. That's not like, that's like not real COVID. Everybody's getting this. I know so many people that have.
I see. It's like mutated. It's like mutated down. It's nothing like the original strain.
Yeah. We have in this episode, we're going to cover that it's endemic. I guess we can flip the topics around if we want to, or push it back. But we have to accept this. We have to accept.
Yeah. I'm boosted. I have the 3 shots. I still got it. Yeah. And it wasn't that bad for me either. It was a sinus infection.
Well, this is the thing. But do you remember like when this was going on and like there were death rates? And I'm really wondering here. Correct me if you remember it differently. But in 2020, March into April, when we had these surges, the people that were going to the hospital had a lot of comorbidities and were elderly, and that the people that were getting it that were not in those categories were experiencing a bad flu or a cough.
Yeah.
Do you remember it differently?
If you had comorbidities, you were more susceptible to it. I mean, I think what we're seeing now is that with vaccination rates and all of that, it's mutated into something that's kind of like what I had. I had something like a sinus infection, which is doable.
Yeah, but we should be focusing on
your apartment while having this.
I'm really displeased with the leadership. I mean, I expect more from Republican leadership. I expect a lot less from Democrat leadership that is not focusing on treatment. And I've said this before about Massachusetts politics and Massachusetts media. They're always 20 minutes behind. They're always 20 minutes behind they're fighting the last fight. They think that,
they're always 20 minutes behind shilling for the Dems. So yeah. What's the point?
But we need to focus on treatment. And I'm real disappointed that, I'll say, Governor Baker isn't talking about treatment as much as he should. Now, he did I think there's a monoclonal antibodies site in Massachusetts, I think. But
I mean, we don't know, and that's kind of the thing.
That's the point. Yeah, I know. They're pushing it up in New Hampshire. We know they're doing it in Florida.
But it makes national news in Florida when they have car lines, and we don't even know where it is in Massachusetts. It's kind of interesting, right, Jeff? Like, I mean, and we'll talk about the Streisand effect with Ron DeSantis recently, but yeah, I mean, no one's talking about treatments. I treated this like a regular sinus infection, and that's how I kind of overcame it. But
we're going to have to deal with this, and we're going to have to deal with it medically, and we're going to have to deal with the idea that masks don't do shit. I'm convinced of that, barring N95s and actual real masks.
I mean, but we've moved on. We've moved on to have a mask, cloth mask, anything to defeat Omicron. You have to have a KN95.
Well,
on at all times. Like it's insane.
We should be talking about taking masks off, and more to come on that in the coming days and weeks. But we should be talking about taking masks off completely, and instead people are talking about mandatory N95. Some people are like, just buy a ton of them and make everybody wear them. And first of all, those are really hard to breathe in because they filter out a lot of air and particles. Like, they do work, okay? But you're not supposed to wear them all day. And and we have to start dealing with this. And the leadership that steps up and gets ahead of it, and it isn't 20 minutes behind like the rest of Massachusetts politics, will be rewarded for it. People are we're 2 years into this thing now. Everybody's tired of it. And the scolds, the COVIDians, the neurotic liberals that hold way too much power. Yeah, well, I've heard that. You can't credit that. I won't take credit for that one. I heard it somewhere. But that's what they are. They're COVIDians. This is their religion. This is their cause. And they get power. They like telling people what to do. They like it when you disagree with them that they can say, well, you want to kill people. I'm like, no, like not a lot. Look, you're fine. The people that are dying from this didn't get vaccinated, have a lot of comorbidities. We talked about this on the Patreon episode. Are living unhealthy lives. Our leaders aren't talking about treatment. Our leaders aren't talking about how we need to become a healthier society, how we need to exercise more and lose weight and do all the things that clearly the evidence is clear that if you live a healthier life, you're going to recover from this quicker when it won't be as severe for you. We're not talking about some on the right are talking about it, but not in mainstream circles. And look, man, if you want some semblance of normalcy, this is going to go one way or the other. I'm not. I talked about this, I think, over Thanksgiving. I had to show my papers over Christmas down in New York City.
How was that?
It's gross. I only did it because I was with my daughter, and it was for her. But it's and people are there's a palpable fear. They don't want to go out.
I never had to do it once.
It's coming, and it's coming. And we have to start defying these things. If you go to a restaurant or show in Boston, and Michelle Wu has instituted this, and they ask you for your papers, politely tell the person that is working there, no, I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to go in, and constitutionally, you're violating my civil rights. And if you want to call the police and have me removed, so be it. If a customer says anything to you, tell them to go fuck themselves. Walk into the coffee shop without your mask. Get your coffee. Do your thing. Go wherever public. Employee tells you, please, sir, can you put on the mask? Or please, ma'am, put on the mask. You have to have a mask. Politely tell them no. And be polite. Customer tells you, go tell that customer go fuck themselves. And I mean this, because this is what has to happen. It is going one direction. They're going to want N95s on all of us. At what point does fully vaxxed not just mean 2 shots, and it means 2 boosters on top of your 2 shots? But you already got COVID. You have natural immunity. You're actually boosted like 4 times now. You realize that?
I have not seen the actual science and data on it, but yeah, it seems like I've got super immunity.
But 100 years of studying viruses, you're probably immune at this point from Omicron. The booster had some protection. The vaccine had some protection. Like it
made it seem like I was immune for all of them now, even Delta, because Delta is a part of Omicron. But yeah, I think I will be good going forward. I'm glad that my usual post-Christmas sinus infection turned out to be COVID. I kind of am glad that I just got it and got it done with, knowing that this is going to be very transmissible.
Yeah.
And I don't have to live in like even a tiny, little thing of fear, I guess, of getting sick. Not that I was afraid of getting a cold before, but like, it's mostly like it's done now. And so, yeah, it's interesting. The big shift that I think was interesting over Christmas that I saw was that New York and all of these tried to be like, well, you'll probably get it, so don't worry. And it's like, like all of these elitist people try to be like, oh, the poor people are getting COVID and all this other stuff. And it's like, I got COVID. Well,
did you see? Yeah, this was real interesting. And there's been some good articles in National Review about this, but prior to that, it's nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault. Like, it's not like Whoopi Goldberg was apoplectic, and there was some PhD student who's studying epidemiology was like, I am fully vaxxed and boosted. I wear a mask everywhere. I wash my hands, and I got it. And I don't know how. It's like, because it's a disease. It's a virus. And the people, this is the thing about the liberal victim mentality. A victim mentality constantly, whether it's social justice or the racialist critical race theory types, they're always looking for somebody to blame. And you can blame somebody who didn't take the shot. You can blame somebody who's not wearing their mask. You can feel morally superior to those people if you just cast them in that light, that they are the problem. And then you know what? You wind up getting the disease because the disease doesn't care. And we have to start... this has to come. We have to start disobeying the political leadership that is going in the wrong direction with masks, with vaccine passports, and showing your papers and saying no and standing up. Not demanding that that it happens for your kids, but while you're wearing your mask into the coffee shop or the restaurant or the supermarket, wherever, take them off. Take them off. They don't do a thing. Get vaccinated if you haven't been vaccinated. Live healthy. Stop judging people. Let's start pushing your political leaders to work on treatment. Okay, whether I don't know. I mean, I've heard ivermectin does a lot of good. I've also heard not really. Have some 2 doctors on him, debate it. Like, and if it does, start making more of it in the United States.
I just want to say a point, Jeff. The fact that we can't have an open discussion on this. I'm not going to deep dive or whatever. The way that we cannot have a discussion on this is the reason why Joe Rogan, when he talks to people, every single conversation is amplified and it gets listened to by 40 million people.
Yeah.
And that's not good. It siphons all of these things into one person, and then it amplifies him. And, Joe Rogan seems like a decent, nice guy. I don't routinely listen to his podcasts, but when I see that he's talking to 2 doctors and it gets 40 million views and YouTube takes the video off of YouTube, that's a problem.
It's a major problem. Yeah. And sorry, go ahead.
And that means that people are listening to that and they're not listening to Anthony Fauci when he goes on CNN, because those ratings on CNN, they're not high, and everyone really hates Anthony Fauci nowadays. So, and they're not seeing things get better. They're not seeing any changes. They're seeing, oh, get the vaccine and you'll return to normal. Well, we're not returned to normal. And I got the 2 vaccines.
Yep.
And I got the booster, and we're not returned to normal.
Yep. So
they're looking to other forms of information, and people who have power need to understand that.
They do, because it's going to dramatically hurt Democrats. I think that's all fully baked into the electoral cake for this year.
Biden's COVID response approval polling is in the shitter.
Yeah. And what we need to do as people, you look at Anthony Fauci and what he's said and how he's contradicted himself time and time again. And he's just not taken seriously anymore by most people other than the cable news outlets. And you mentioned the numbers. They have 40 million people watch Joe Rogan's episode with Dr. Malone and the other doctor. I forget. I didn't watch the Malone one, but I watched the other one. And I didn't agree with everything he said, but I agreed with a lot of it. But also Joe Rogan's a comedian. He's not an expert. If some doctor disagrees with him, I'd like to see the 2 doctors debate it out in long form for 3 or 4 hours and talk about it. But the reason why you're right, he gets four 40 million people, and CNN maybe gets 700, 800,000. Fox News is like 1.2 million. That compared to 40 million, that's nothing. Well, there's 330 million people in the United States. and most of them don't know what Spotify is, right? So it's like, so it's amazing that he's getting that kind of numbers, but it's also not amazing because people aren't talking honestly about what's going on, and we need to start talking honestly about treatment. We need to start talking honestly about the vaccines and the trade-offs, and I support vaccines. They do work. But we were told they'll keep you from getting sick. Okay, well, maybe they won't keep you from getting sick. They'll just lessen your sickness. All right, well, that's still a trade-off. And then I know personally, not friends on Facebooks or Billy's brother's cousin or something like that, but I know people, or I should say women, that had issues with their menstrual cycle after taking the vaccine. I know a woman who had a heart attack after taking the vaccine. This was on NPR. I tweeted the picture from NPR. You know, it would there was a study, NPR, not exactly, some right-wing nut job that said it affected women's menstrual cycles by up to a day, but you should still take it. Well, hang on a second here. It's like maybe you should take it, or maybe if you're trying to get pregnant or are concerned about it, or you're in a healthy demographic, maybe you shouldn't. So, before it was a wacky conspiracy theory, now it's like on NPR. Before the Wuhan lab leak theory wasn't wacky conspiracy, now everybody pretty much accepts it as, yeah, they did that. The Chinese, it was leaked out of a lab. So every one of these where they try to push back down on the information, it turns out to be true. Well, I won't say every one of these, a lot of these. So this is, we got to move on. Yeah,
should we move on to the Streisand effect with Ron DeSantis? Because I feel these two things linked.
I agree. So, and what's happening now is politically, the left knows they're losing.
And they know they're losing.
They know they're losing.
They know they're losing. Like, I hate saying it like this, but most Dems know that they're in for a electoral shellacking in the midterms, and they know that. Wish we could say that in Massachusetts, but the rest of the country will have to.
Well, we have the
work for us.
We have a leadership of stupid in our Republican Party. Jim Lyons is an absolute idiot and can't tie his shoes, and we're going to not gain hardly any seats. And if we do, it won't be because of our Republican Party, it'll be because of that candidate. Yeah, we're not going to ride that wave here in Massachusetts, unfortunately. I hope we do, somehow.
But the GOP will.
Yeah, right. But, you never know. There's some good candidates out there that might be able to just do it themselves, with no help from the party. And if they do get elected, they should understand they got no help from the party and exert that influence after the fact to remove the leadership so we can build on it. But the Streisand effect with Ron DeSantis is amazing right now because the media and the left is attacking Ron DeSantis, and they just don't get what they're doing. They're not. It's not working. They're not good enough at this. They don't understand that they're wrong, and every time they go after him, he dunks on them, uses them to push what he wants to talk about, looks fantastic in the process, and he becomes the front runner and a bigger, a bigger voice for normalcy in a huge state, honestly, the best thing you can do for Ron DeSantis, if you're the best thing Republicans can hope for is that the left keeps attacking him because they're not good at it.
No,
they're not good at it. They haven't been good at it for a while. Not locally, not nationally. They're just. It's nice. I tweeted this at Elizabeth Warren, who was talking about I swear to God, the supermarket oligarchy. That do you know the supermarkets have the thinnest margins for profit of
they get like cents off of every dollar or something. Like it's I mean, she's so full of shit, Jeff. Like I can't anymore with Elizabeth Warren. She just disgusts me on every single level. So when she was talking about like the big meat or like big supermarket, like because prices are being inflated because we have a supply chain issue, along with, you know, they injected $16 trillion into a almost 23 trillion GDP. Like, yeah, inflation was going to happen. You all knew it was going to happen. That's one of the reasons why I get so mad at people, like when they defend like Liz Warren. She knew this was going to happen. She's not a complete idiot. Like, but she
acts like an idiot, and it's nice to have.
She's deflecting.
Yeah,
it makes me so mad.
But it's good. It's good from the perspective because it doesn't work, right? She's inept. Yeah. This is fan service for her blue-haired, insane baby boomer progressive wing.
And I'm kind of glad that she's becoming a backbencher because it's so clear that her political instincts are so stupid. And it's so cringy too when people were like promoting her and all of that stuff going into the 2020 election. We all knew in Massachusetts she was a fraud if you had two brain cells to rub together. But yeah, she going after big supermarket when their profit margins are so slim. She knows that. She's not a complete idiot. She's just a showboater. And so, yeah, I mean, and now you see all of them attacking Ron DeSantis. They're going after Ron DeSantis. They're putting their targets on his back, and he probably loves it.
Yeah. Oh, it's good because they're just none of them. This is one thing that we've learned from Trump for sure, but it worked with Trump even when Trump did good things and then, would screw up, because what it does is it makes you almost Teflon, right? Like, the media protects Biden and still protects him. And they shouldn't, but they're an arm of the Democrat Party now. And when it's visible to every American how bad Biden is at the job after Afghanistan. The Afghanistan debacle was the turning point for his poll numbers for his presidency, and it's 6 months in, 7 months, or I guess technically 8 or 9 months into his administration, right? The emperor has no clothes. We all see it, and he started to tank. He's inept. He's senile. There's a problem. Ron Klain is running it, and he's running it via Twitter. So when you see that, you know that these people don't know what they're doing. They're not competent at it. This is the thing. Like, Kamala Harris rose to prominence and success, but it's really abundantly clear she has no idea what she's doing. Same with Pete Buttigieg. Like, these people, like they're all Michelle Wu. Like, they don't really know about doing anything because they've never really done anything. They've just got together and they just talk to each other and sort of.
Now, the level of like Democratic leadership and going into their pipeline for 2024, we know that Biden's going to run again, and he's been in the shitter with the Afghanistan withdrawal, his COVID response, the economy. I mean, he's really fucked this up really bad. And so they know that Kamala can't do this job. She sucks. I mean, she compared January 6th to 9/11. She's done crazy things. She can't even handle the border situation when she's given the job. Pete Buttigieg, like, literally goes on.
That's a joke.
Yeah. Goes on paternity leave during a supply chain crisis, doesn't really leave like a chain of command after, like, no one knew who was in charge at the Department of Transportation while he was gone. And that falls back onto Biden, actually, because Biden should have been checking in on that, and he didn't. So
it'll probably be somebody ridiculous like Gavin Newsom, who's ruined California. But he's got that, slick back hair, greasy politician vibe. I
don't think Gavin Newsom has national. I mean, he probably thinks that he's national appeal. I don't think
he's vile, but he's vile, but he can.
Can you imagine him campaigning in like someplace like that's like a red state like Florida?
I can. It'll be hilarious.
Going into Miami to see all of the people who left San Francisco to go to Miami. Like, and that's one of the things that makes me like laugh so hard. Like Miami's becoming like what San Francisco used to be. And it's interesting because conservatives now are making the point to these liberals that are leaving California to go to Florida. They're like, if you come here and you vote for Democrats and turn our city into shit, it is your fault and we will not allow it.
Well, I see. Here's the thing. I don't know. I don't know. Liberals don't care. For every, I mean, if it's a 1-for-1 ratio, there's a lot of liberals who are like, "Fuck it, I'm out of here too," because they're tired of.
Shame these people. The reason why Miami is the free city of Miami and the free state of Florida is because of Republicans. It's not because of Florida Democratic Party. And if you leave California to go to Texas or to Florida and you vote for Democrats, you're voting for the same shit that you voted for in California that turned
they don't care.
Caitlin,
I'm telling you, they don't care. This is the thing. Like, yes, there's a lot of people a lot of normals are leaving blue states. This is good. Something I wanted to mention. A lot of normals are leaving blue states, and they're going to red states to be free. But there's also a lot of libs who are like, well, I'm tired of the COVID restrictions too. I'm tired of the high taxes. Yeah, but but I hate Republicans. They're mean and racist and homophobic, and they'll move too, and they'll leave, and they'll move to a red state, and they'll vote for the dipshit Democrat. So it's a double-edged sword. I think we got to be careful about it. I don't think the proportion is even 1-for-1. I think it's probably 60-40 or 65-35, but I think it's a non-zero number. It's a consequential number of libs moving from blue states to red states, and they'll bring their lib nonsense with them. Now, this brings me to something I was thinking about. I think, honestly, with the restrictions in place right now in the blue states, I think there's going to be some weird shit happening in the Northeast and in those blue states with the real estate market where the prices have been going up for the past 10, 15 years. Even during and like when the bubble burst in 2008, around 2008 for the real estate bubble, it burst all over the country and people were underwater. But Northeast bounced back pretty quick or plateaued, and a lot of blue states did. I think there's going to be, I think for you're looking for a house. I think you're going to have very good chances in Massachusetts. I think there's going to be a lot more inventory on sale. I think it's going to have a weird effect on the market, on the housing market. I don't know if people are going to get these exorbitant prices for their homes when they want to sell them, so they'll just sit. But once homes start to sit at the higher prices, the prices will start to come down. The median price will come down because if you're a first-time home buyer like yourself, you're renting right now, but you don't have the cash to buy a moderate home that you'd normally be able to buy 10, 15 years ago because it's $800,000 or $900,000, and that sticker price is crazy because the mortgage on that is way beyond what somebody buying a first-time home can afford. I think prices are going to come down. Now, could I be wrong? Of course. But I think a lot of people are done. I've talked to a lot of people. They're like, yeah, I'm out. Bye. Not doing it. Tired of the masks. I don't want to have a vaccine passport to go see the Bruins. They're done. They don't want to mask it at the Garden. They don't want to show their papers. I think there's going to be a rude awakening for people in the Northeast come the spring. So we kind of went in reverse with our topic list, but happy birthday, Caitlin.
Yeah.
Remind the audience when your birthday is.
January 6th is my birthday.
A day which will live in infamy.
Oh, shut it. January 6th, 1989. That's my birthday.
My birthday is September the 10th, which is a weird day because I know the next day is September 11th, which is a tragic day in American history. And it's not known as like Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor is December 7th, but we know it as Pearl Harbor. September 11th, we know as September 11th.
Yeah.
And now January 6th we know is January 6th, which we're going in this weird trend of like adding gate to
Wait a minute,
everything.
your birthday is September 11th?
No, 10th.
Oh, 10th.
It's 10th.
Okay. I was like, oh my God. I know somebody who was born on September 11th.
I know
11th, 2001.
Oh boy. Yeah, I know a couple of people that were born on September 11th or had their birthday September 11th. But it was obviously I was personally affected by it for 9/11. But it was, according to our illustrious vice president, was nowhere near as bad as January 6th, which was a riot in Washington, D.C.
And an embarrassing riot. Like we've been honest about that before. Like we were not proud of what happened on that day.
Yeah.
We were very clear on arrest all rioters and all of this. But no, it was not September 11th. Sorry.
Not even by a long shot. And let me see, I take a harder line than Caitlin does. If you're Antifa and you riot and you burn things down and you smash, you kick doors in, I think you should be shot. If you're at the Capitol and you riot and you kick down doors and you are threatening people and you want to cause damage and violence in a mass scale, I think you should be shot. I think rioters should be shot because that is the number one thing that our government must do, and that's stop and keep the streets safe and keep order. Okay. Yeah. And you can peacefully protest as much as you want, but when you turn it into a riot, you are creating violence. That violence spins out of control very quickly, and the only way to suppress that is with greater shows of violence. So, I take a hard line on rioters. I take the Mayor Daley of Chicago, 1968 line. I posted that on a reply to you. Shoot to maim and shoot to kill if you're an arsonist, because arson is murder, right? You don't know who's in that building if you're going to burn shit down. And I do see some kooky people on the right trying to lionize Ashley Babbitt. Ashley Babbitt was in the Capitol smashing on the doors to get into the inner hall of the Capitol, of the chamber. They had to lock and barricade the doors. Fuck that. If you do that, you should be shot. If you're Antifa and you have a Molotov cocktail in your hand, you should be shot on sight. Enough of this. No more. No more. I'll tell anybody on the left, I'll tell anybody on the right that this is just not acceptable. But to equate those types of activities, those riots, to the single biggest terrorist attack and the what launched the war on terror, or a sneak attack by a foreign power on our naval fleet 80 years ago, to compare those events to January 6th, Pearl Harbor, 9/11 to January 6th is insane.
Yeah. It's so insulting too. I mean, I made this point on the other podcast, but yeah, after 9/11 and after Pearl Harbor, we went to war. That's how serious these events were. We went to war. They were mass casualty events with thousands of people that died. Pearl Harbor, I don't remember the entire, but it was an attack by a foreign country on our military, a surprise attack by our country, on our country by foreign military. And we should not be comparing that to January 6th. And so if you're doing so, you're embarrassing yourself and you're embarrassing your own intelligence. So you need to stop. It's just, again, it's insulting. I think it's a show of faux patriotism. I take people less seriously than I did before. And so Kamala Harris is lower than low with me right now. And yeah.
Well, the less seriousness, the lack of seriousness around it when you invite a Broadway performance. Who Lin-Manuel Miranda for an anniversary of a riot? A Broadway performance for an anniversary of a riot, and you want people to other people to take it seriously. Sorry, go ahead.
She turned it into a circus. I mean, she turned this into a circus. it was so silly, and it was insulting to everyone's intelligence. You made this into, I mean, good God, Jeff, they're commemorating January 6th more than they do the 4th of July. Like, it's like insane to me. Like, the one time that these people can come out and say that they're proud Americans is on January 6th. Really?
Well, these are people that I don't believe, honestly. I mean, the progressives and the liberals don't particularly like America. But this is they're if they wanted to use January 6th as a political weapon, you don't invite a Broadway show. I mean, this is why I'm almost glad that they do this, because they're utterly unserious and they're inept and they are incompetent. And it's nice to have incompetent adversaries, but I guess I worry that, you know, the GOP will obviously take back power in a few months and blow the chances, right? We have to blow the chances of that we get back when we have big electoral wins. Because politicians, and especially politicians in media locally, we've said this before, I'll say it again, they're always 20 minutes behind. So I don't know how they get ahead of this. They've got COVID still lingering because their base wants COVID to be forever. They want permanent COVID and COVID. They want COVID zero, but / permanent restrictions. They like being told what to do. They like the nanny state. They enjoy it. It shuts down capitalism. It shuts down everything. They relish it. And the people who don't enjoy living like this, you need to start doing more and becoming more involved and being more vocal about how your displeasure at the overall state of affairs, but also get involved and threaten to, you know, take it out on them electorally. All right. It's been quite a week. Did you have a good New Year's at least?
Oh, well, yeah. So I went to a wedding for New Year's and then I flew home and I had COVID. But the thing is like everybody at the wedding that I went to had to be completely vaccinated in order to go.
Yeah.
So we were all good.
Look how that turned out. Oh, man. All right, so I want to wrap up with something. Did I say this already about the Groundhog Day thing? I didn't say it on this episode, right?
No, did you? What?
No, I don't think I did. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be writing a tweet later today, because we need to take masks off the kids in school. We do, and we have to start pushing for it. But we as adults and parents...
The UK doesn't do this. In France, they also don't do this.
Good points. Lots of rational people out there on planet Earth are not masking, and it needs to stop where it is. So we are going to organize a national, let's start local, no more masks by Groundhog's Day. And on Groundhog's Day, or prior to, you take off your mask. The coffee shop, the restaurant, the gym, the supermarket, church, wherever. No more. Because this leads the fight. If we want them off of our kids, we have to act like it and be brave and have faith that we are doing the right things, because masks do not do shit, as I've mentioned countless times, unless you want to wear an N95 everywhere, which dramatically restricts your breathing, which is nonsense anyway. This is endemic. We have to live with it. We need grown-ups in charge, serious people, and we have to start focusing on the things that are going to make a difference. So, February 2nd, Wednesday, it's a Groundhog's Day. It's Groundhog's Day, and this will all be repeating itself. We're going. It's appropriate, right? It's all going to happen and circle back if we don't stop it. So no more masks by Groundhog's Day. And on Groundhog's Day, if you're a college student, this is the weird part about this. College students are like under the, in the vice. You want to protest something. You want to legitimately protest something, not some lame social justice cause that's made up on a college campus. This is your chance, college kids. No more masks. Take them off. Be brave. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. And it takes it's going to take us some time to get this together, but hopefully it'll work, and we will be past this soon. So say your prayers, Caitlin.
Yep.
All right. Anything else?
Okay. No.
All right. All right. Well, we will see you next time. Don't forget to go to patreon.com/RhinoPod to check out our Patreon episode. Only $1 a month. Always appreciate those who subscribe and sign up and support us there. And we will see you next time. Bye-bye.